Tonight on FTN Today, Liverpool welcome Andoni Iraola as their new manager. We have some big updates and stories to get through. You are seeing it on screen. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one, man. Let's not waste no more time and let's discuss tonight's massive stories. We start things off by discussing the appointment of Iraola at Liverpool. He's set to sign a 2-year deal to become the new manager, and 2 years is what Iraola preferred to pick. Now, there must be a strategy behind this. I guess he's one of those guys that wants his work to be the proof of his pudding, and if he's successful, he'll get an extension for more money, or maybe he has a career plan in his head, and he wants to kind of give himself as much flexibility as possible, because in this game, there's managers flying in left, right and center. It's been such a crazy manager merry-go-round for the start of the summer window already. Now, Bournemouth have replaced Iraola with a very shrewd appointment, in my opinion, in Marco Rose. Now, he shares many of the same principles that Iraola has. He's shown a lot of verticality in his football, a lot of intense running, pressure, playing forward. And for the squad that's been developed and built at Bournemouth, you need to hire a manager that will continue the ideas left by the previous one. It makes the most sense. A very shrewd appointment, in my opinion. There's a reason why Bournemouth are definitely on the rise. But we're learning so much about these reports surrounding Iraola. Let's see his first words as the newly appointed Liverpool manager. And I have to say very quickly, I think this was the smartest decision Liverpool could make. I felt like Iraola complements what Liverpool are more than Xabi Alonso. I think Liverpool don't need to transition into playing more of this positional style game. Continue where you left off. Continue what made you the modern day force you are right now. High intense, game pressing, vertical style, quick, direct football. That's what's put Liverpool on the map. And I think Iraola was the best appointment for this. And he paid the price, for being patient and not accepting offers from Leverkusen, Crystal Palace and other parties. As he says right here, he's really excited because obviously you know that Liverpool is a big club, a massive club, one of the biggest in the world. But the feeling inside and understanding a little bit more of this club, I always thought it's a special club. You don't need a lot of things to get attracted by Liverpool. Liverpool is Liverpool. But obviously the atmosphere, the supporters, the club, the players, the chance for me to coach top level players, the chance to fight for titles, I think it cannot be more attractive than this. It is difficult to find it. So really excited to start. And I feel like the Liverpool players will be very excited to work under Iraola. I'm curious to know what he does with guys like Florian Wirtz. Look how Alex Scott really became a very, interesting and promising progressive type of player. Wirtz ended the season strong, in my opinion. I think he could really complement this style of football. Let's see what happens. I'm curious to know how he uses both Ekitike and Isak when they're both available. That will be a big one as well. I'm curious to know how he's going to fix that midfield. I think if there's question marks right now, you probably think Liverpool, they need to invest in a holding six type of player to support Gravenberch. That would be the ideal situation, in my opinion. But yeah, this is a big story. I think Liverpool fans are very excited by what's going on. I think they're excited by the appointment of Iraola. I think it'll make Liverpool a force again next season, I have to say. But let's see what type of players and signings may be made, because that will be the key thing. I felt like Liverpool paid the price last season for a lack of balance. They forced too much change. But you can't also deny the other real things that affected their season, like the untimely passing away of Diogo Jota. Of course, we know that Konate came out recently to talk about how he felt a deep depression during the first half of the season at losing his teammate. And imagine how many players felt that loss. And that's naturally going to impact your competitive nature because, bro, it makes you realize there is more to life in this game, right? That's the reality. So obviously, may he rest in peace. And now Liverpool have an opportunity to kind of come back next season. And let's see how quickly Iraola can introduce his ideas. It's going to be really big to see what he does during pre-season. But I think if you're a Liverpool fan, it's all about creating as many quick chances as possible, and that's what Bournemouth ranked the highest for in the Premier League when it came to frequently turning high pressing into shots. That's what made Liverpool the force, having that incredibly intense game press. It was missed last season. Slot found it difficult to introduce compared to the first season where he kind of just kept things flowing. That's a principle that suits how they play, and Iraola can maintain that intensity and bring it back into full force. So you guys share your thoughts and opinions on the signing of Iraola at Liverpool. Is he a big success, or do you think he could be one of the victims of the new season? Share your thoughts and opinions below. Because now we discuss a player that Liverpool are actively trying to sign right now, and that is Yan Diomande of RB Leipzig. Incredibly, Leipzig are slapping a 112.4 million valuation on his head because they want to put off suitors. They want to create a prohibitive fee so interested parties don't sign him. Leipzig don't have to sell. They've made so much money in these last few windows, most notably guys like Sechko for 88 million last season. They're masters at getting high value for their players. So if you're that desperate for them, you have to pay the money that is wanted. And I guess we're going to find out whether Liverpool are going to have it in them to go on another spending spree like last season and splash fortunes on signing another player. Now, with Mohamed Salah set to go, there's a lot of pressure now on Liverpool to sign an attacking force, and most notably a player that has the carrying threat and abilities. I think maybe Luis Diaz was kind of criminally underrated at Liverpool. He was definitely a massive miss for them last season. And then Diomande, 19 years old, he's bagged 9 assists and got 13 goals in his debut season at really the highest level. Not his debut season in his career, but in Europe's top 5 divisions. So naturally, there are going to be question marks around whether he is ready to make the step up immediately for a team like Liverpool that have that type of pressure around them. Look how severe the criticism and angst was towards Florian Wirtz from the first half of last season. We never forget those 007 memes. It's a different type of pressure. And your age won't be something that helps you. Just because you're 19 doesn't mean that you're going to get some patience and some understanding around your way. Listen, if people can banter you to try and get one over their rivals, that's going to happen and you'll be the victim of that. So even though Diomande has tons of potential and tons of ability, it's a completely different kettle of fish to be ready to have the mental strength and fortitude to operate for the best clubs in the world. And I'm really curious to know whether Liverpool are going to maybe feel pressured or enticed to find an agreement at that price. Because I don't think RB Leipzig will budge. I don't think they'll reduce things because reports suggest that ideally 86 million would be the highest that Liverpool would prefer to pay for the player. But we have to see what happens, because if you're RB Leipzig, you know that Diomande has also had discussions with Paris Saint-Germain. And Diomande said recently in an article that, listen, he's a big fan of PSG since he was young growing up. It'd be incredible to play for them. It'll be a dream move. Paris Saint-Germain have had much conversations with him as well. It'll be a massive pleasure to play a league for one of the biggest clubs, and especially with the type of football and the incredible individual players that Paris Saint-Germain have. But then questions are, would he necessarily get the game time consistently when there's Barcolas and Cavascalias and Dembélés and Doués? Maybe he would, because Enrique showed a big willingness to adapt and rotate last season. Let's see what happens there. But at the moment, you might feel that Liverpool could offer more game time, but probably at the expense of their young protege in the making, Enrique Riquelme. And in my opinion, man, yeah, I'm not too sure if any club, not even Liverpool, but any club in Europe should maybe spend the money on Diomande just yet. For me, I think young players, they need to have at least 2 seasons at the top. Yeah, he's the young player of the season in the Bundesliga. He was a match winner. He's making things happen himself. He's a game-breaking type of player. He's the type of player, yeah, that opposition teams and managers have to find game plans for. They're always the difference makers that elevate a team. But is there not this thing where you need to have a bit of patience in your career. Look at Michael Elise. He spent 3 seasons at Crystal Palace, and when he finished, he's top 3 right wingers in the world and will be one of the star players of the World Cup, an absolute superstar he's become. If he left Crystal Palace after the first season, would his development career necessarily be the same? That's food for thought, in my opinion, and that is something to definitely think about right now. But listen, we see what happens with this story. Big clubs are after him. Let's see who's going to budge and pay the money that RB Leipzig want. Because now we discuss all the reports and updates happening at Real Madrid, with the big one being Jose Mourinho. As we know, there's an election race. It will be decided on the 7th. It's between Florentino Perez and Enrique Riquelme. And we know that Riquelme allegedly sees Jurgen Klopp as the superstar manager he wants to bring to Real Madrid if he wins the election race. However, Florentino Perez has made Jose Mourinho his main candidate and has revealed that he'd be more than willing to pay the €50 million break clause to sign him from Benfica. Now, this has increased because Mourinho did not leave Benfica at a certain time. But Florentino Perez is that adamant that Mourinho is the perfect manager needed, and he is getting ready to give him another 3-year deal. So Mourinho's had one of the most craziest careers, journeyman careers recently. I thought once he was in Turkey, that was it. But I guess with his charisma, his legacy, his personality, I mean, the guy's a superstar. If there's any guy in world football that is going to be ready for the challenge and rein in these Real Madrid prima donnas, it is going to be Jose Mourinho, and he's going to absolutely revel in just telling certain man what they have to do. So let's see what happens with this one. I'm personally curious to know how Mourinho is going to bring Madrid back outside of just being a counter-attacking force. Is he a little bit dated? That's some conversations for you guys to have in the comment section. But we do have more updates on some of the, I guess, allegations that came out surrounding Enrique Riquelme's plans to, improve Real Madrid for next season. And one of them focused on Rodri. As Riquelme says in a very bold fashion, we spoke with his agent. I know perfectly well that we then have to talk to City. I said that yesterday. Rodri's circumstances are different from Haaland's, but we have to talk to City. We have the most respect for the club. As we know, City were threatening to sue Real Madrid for Riquelme holding a shirt of Haaland's name on the back of a Madrid kit. Very, crazy move. Very disrespectful as well. And maybe a little bit desperate because you're trying to force conversation and you want to kind of market your credentials in a very cheap type of fashion. It is what it is. But Riquelme is not going out without a fight. And I guess as we're getting close now to the election day, he's going to be even more bolden to try and break this 23-year run that Florentino Perez has currently been under. So let's see what happens there. There are some more updates coming out, though, because he's also very bolden around his claims around Erling Haaland. Of course, the Haaland camp denied everything. But he's saying that actually, I wouldn't be saying this for no reason. Does he know something that we don't know? Is he just kind of spinning this in his favor to, boost his estimations at the club? Time will tell. We're going to find out. But even if we go back to Rodri as well, Rodri even came out to say that, listen, I'm only here to speak about the World Cup. I'm not here to speak about Real Madrid. But to be fair with you, man, we all know that Rodri is probably ready now to go back to La Liga. He wants to return back home. And Madrid, of course, is the only club really in world football that will match his professional ambitions. So let's see what happens with the story. Big things are happening currently at Real Madrid. Of course, they get ready for the arrival now of Denzel Dumfries. They've triggered the release clause, €20 million. He will provide great competition for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I would not be surprised if this guy makes the right back spot the number one. Yeah, he gets down both boxes, the type of fullback that supports wingers, and he has goal threat. And I think this guy's a big game player. I'll never forget his performances against Barcelona 2 seasons ago in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Outstanding. More updates on Real Madrid. Florentino Perez, he gives his opinion on the Haaland deal. it was denied by everyone involved. The agent, the dad, the club, everyone. It's a bluff. And I think for sure, Enrique is running this campaign on bluffs and big promises that he knows can't be fulfilled. Now, to end with things, his master plan on signing Haaland involves selling one superstar at Real Madrid, and that superstar is Vinny Jr. There's been a very big protracted contract mess at the moment. He hasn't committed just yet to a new deal. Florentino Perez promises that he will have his future sorted out at Real Madrid. But for Riquelme, he feels like this is the perfect time to move him on. And I guess his vision would be to have Haaland and Mbappe up front together with a midfield four behind. Listen, if he pulls this off, this will be the biggest transfer in the history of the game because of the magnitude of the money, everything it's going to take to really just get this move over the line. But I think we all know this is a massive bluff, and it's probably not a good thing to kind of be on the bad books of Vinny Jr. So that's currently the updates happening at Real Madrid, you guys. Share your thoughts and opinions. Do you think big things are set to come? I'm really looking forward to the 7th. Florentino Perez is adamant that Jose Mourinho is going to be here, which probably communicates that he's feeling very confident he will continue to run things at Real Madrid for the considerable future. Let's move on to the next story. And we have an update surrounding Sandro Tonali. As we know, Man City made their first approach for Elliot Anderson. However, the price tag could be a bit prohibitive because Forest are quoting fees of over 105 million as the base mark. City have that type of money, but if the costs are too prohibitive, they need to find alternative situations. And one alternative would be Sandro Tonali from Newcastle. Now, I'm a bit curious around this one, to be fair, because Newcastle recently sold Gordon for mega money to Barcelona, which really kind of just softens any of their financial type of insecurities they might have. So they might feel like they're not really in a position where they have to sell Tonali unless it's for big money. But as we are learning, of course, though, Tonali and players like Bruno, for example, they are keeping their options open this summer. And understandably, Tonali would be very interested in the move to Man City, but also Arsenal are expressing some interest as well in signing him. He plays box to box. He's someone that can receive deep. He's in that same profile and camp of an Elliot Anderson. He's got a banger of a long shot, and he's probably too good to be at Newcastle anymore right now. So yeah, there's so many big players around in this summer window. I think this summer window could be one of the best ones we've seen in a long time because of the prices, the players available, and some of like the big changes are going to shock a lot of people in this window. So do you think Tonali would make sense at Man City, or do you think Man City should continue their pursuits for Elliot Anderson? Let us know in the comments below. Matheus Fernandes is one of the most popular players in the market right now as West Ham find themselves relegated. But tonight, West Ham have slapped an 80 million valuation for Matheus Fernandes because they need to raise up to 150 million after being relegated. And Fernandes is one of their most sellable assets alongside guys like Somerville, alongside players like Juve, alongside players like Bowen as well. So expect all of them to be sold. And another reason why West Ham need the money is that at least 15% will go to Southampton, who negotiated a sell-on fee. So that's going to be really around £60 million that they can get for this move. So yeah, Matheus Fernandes, currently lots of interest from Manchester United. They're turning towards him now instead of Belieber. And I can understand why, because this is an all-action midfield player who can press, who can run, who covers ground in midfield, who affects the game, who has a ridiculous long pass behind him as well. And you know that Manchester United fans, man, they've had your Carricks and your Scholes and David Beckhams. They're like one of the prestige clubs when it comes to a fan base witnessing some of the best long-range passes in the game. And Fernandes definitely has that type of potential. I love the fact that he's been a massive big game player this season. And he's attracting a ton of interest from clubs like Paris Saint-Germain, from clubs like Man United, soft interest from Chelsea, plus other clubs across Europe as well too. It's a shame that there was no release clause exercise in the deal. Probably a big mistake from his part, but his 5 goals and 4 assists was very good for West Ham. And I think this guy could really upgrade Man United's midfield. Definitely someone for the future. Himself, Mainu. Are United set to bring back a midfield 3? It has that type of potential currently at Old Trafford for next season. And I think many Man United fans are excited at the prospects of introducing someone like Fernandes into their team. So you guys share your thoughts and opinions on whether United can get this deal struck or whether any club can find a valuation under the 80 million West Ham are hoping for. Right now, that's me for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned on FTN today for all the big stories and roundups happening on a daily basis in this transfer window. Catch you guys soon. Cool.